What are the group selection methods? There are certain techniques, assessment centers, wherein your social skills, your intellectual skills and attitudes are assessed. This is a group exercise wherein a group of candidates are put into some form of activity and the following skills are tested. How good you are in your interrelationships and your leadership aspects, and how well you communicate in tight situations, and what is the attitude that you carry towards others. This is closely monitored by assessors in the whole exercise. Now, other typical techniques are group role play exercises wherein roles are assigned to the applicants who are present in a group and they carry out the roles and the effectiveness of those roles are assessed. Case studies. This is again a common method wherein strategies are asked from the candidates in the form of case studies. How do they approach a particular situation? What is the best solution possible? It gives you the multiple option approach, like wherein the candidates put forth their views and how best they can resolve the situation. In tray exercises or in basket exercises, the actual work environment is put forth to the candidates and they carry out the job. How well they do in the job is a reflection of their capabilities. Leaderless discussion groups. This gives chance for all the people in the group to emerge as leaders and to divert the discussion and to bring it to a solution, thus bringing their leadership qualities to the fore. What are the purposes of group selection? It gives you a longer opportunity when compared to interviews to study the candidates in a sort of natural environment. As I mentioned earlier, interviews can be an artificial atmosphere and it can mask the qualities of the candidate, wherein group selection methods, you have a longer opportunity to study the natural abilities, the capabilities, and in a different atmosphere how the candidates react to certain situations. More information about the candidate, because it is spread over a longer period. A better understanding of candidate's personality and attributes. You cannot fake certain qualities over a period of time. So how does he interact with his fellow applicants, how he mingles with the crowd, how he responds to certain crisis situations. It gives you a better understanding. Compatibility between candidates. Interviews and group selection methods, I guess it boils down to comparison. So it gives you a better comparison when you have a group selection method, because in the same atmosphere you are assessing the capabilities of different individuals and it gives you an idea who will be the better person for the job. Pooled judgment of assessors. Now, when you are viewing the performance of the candidates in the assessment center, a group of people are viewing and assessing and gives you a better judgment of the entire pool of candidates, and in the end you get a better person who's fit for the job. What are the follow-up procedures? As you can see, you identified a person, but is he the right candidate? What are his antecedents? What is his integrity level? Is he a candidate whom can be trusted with certain confidential information about your organization? How do you do this? Straightforward factual information. Is the information provided by the candidate correct and 100% true? This needs to be verified. So, opinions about applicants' personality attributes. Check from the previous employers as to how this person has performed in the organization. It might be a difficult task, but it is worth the effort to find out what were his assignments, how did he leave the organization, and what was the situation he left the organization. Personal references. You can request for references. Checking on the person's references will give you an idea, his background and his suitability to the organization. You are hired. Now what next? You have to release the offer letter from an employer's point of view. Time is of essence, because this is an environment wherein candidates appear for interviews in 2 or 3 different companies in the same day. So you cannot simply afford to waste time. So you have to release the offer letter, all terms and conditions mentioned, what are the provisos, say the subject to clauses, negotiable aspects of the job, the contracts, written particulars of employment. You need to be clear and precise when it comes to your offer letter, because this will be evaluated by the applicant with your competitors. Congrats, you got the job offer, but hey, look and evaluate into what is the offer letter all about. For both employers and the candidates, you need to look into the following aspects: names of employer and employee, for whom you are actually working. Is it the company or is it a group company? What are the restrictions on transfer? So the name of employer and your name as well, because your records, your medical records should correspond to your actual name. In most of the cases, we can see there is a mismatch between the actual name and the company records. This is not advisable. So check your name is spelled correctly in the offer letter. Though it sounds elementary, it is very important. Job title. What is the job title? Is it matching to your previous job experience? Is it what was promised in the ad? So you need to evaluate on this also. Employment date. What is the start date? Do you have sufficient time to give notice to the previous company? What is your current, or the prospective employer? Is he very particular about the employment date? So what is the start date mentioned? Previous employment details. So is your previous experience being considered as part of the remuneration, or is it taken as zero and you start fresh in this company? So your previous employment detail counts. Pay and hours of work. What is the pay structure? What are the number of hours of work? Is it a 5-day week, or how is your holidays structured? You need to be very clear. Holidays and other entitlements. For your grade, what are the holidays and other entitlements? You can seek and clarify, which is reflected in the offer letter. Pension scheme provisions. What are the provisions that is available for your particular grade? Now, length of notice of termination. These are the provisions which you also should know. When you are resigning from this particular company, what is the notice period you are expected to serve? If not, what is the penalty clause? Details of disciplinary grievance procedures. What if a disciplinary matter arises and how it is to be dealt? And what if you have a grievance? What is the mechanism prevalent in the organization to deal with this? Rules of health and safety at work. Are there enough measures and rules to safeguard your workplace? You can seek and clarify. Evaluating the process of selection. So the selection process also involves time, effort and money. It needs to be evaluated. Now, you need to check into the discrepancies and interview ratings and notes. Now, you will have to do this exercise so as to avoid any potential fiasco because the wrong candidate is in your organization. You need to evaluate your selection process. Other performance criteria for evaluating is that what was the number of candidates or interviewed in relation to applications? How many applications did you receive and how many people were called for interviews? The number of offers made in relation to number of interviews. What were the number of offers rolled compared to the number of interviews conducted? And number of acceptances. This indicates the level of acceptance in the market for your pay rates. So what was the number of acceptances in relation to offers made? All these are ratios. Number of successful applicants subsequently appraised. How many of them joined your company? Now, lead time for successful applicants. What was the time gap from the process of selection to the date of joining? The number of starters still employed. How many of them who were selected in a particular process are still employed, and for what time frame? Cost of selection methods per starter. Now you would have applied different methods for employing a particular set of candidates in a project. Now what is the cost effectiveness of the different selection methods? So you need to evaluate your entire selection process, keeping these performance indicators in mind, which will give you a healthy approach to the entire selection process.